Raider Nation, what is going on? I'm hitting you with my real game recap of our Sunday night victory over the New York Jets, 16-12. Man, we battled and we battled to the end. You gotta love just the fight that this team showed Sunday night. So this is my real game recap, man. I hit you guys with an instant reaction. My background was all was different. I was on a fishing trip with my dad and my brothers, but again, I wanted to jump on and give you that instant reaction because I wanted to share that victory with all you guys and Raider Nation, man. It was huge. So before we jump into it, please hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and like the video. I'm growing substantially with the subscribers. It's moving quick, and I appreciate it, and thank you to all of you that have subscribed. And before I get into that part, I got to give one last chance. Manny Reyes at Manny Reyes 2154. If you're watching, man, please email me. Email me at realraider805 at gmail.com. Realraider805 at gmail.com. You were my giveaway winner. Man, I'm going to give you another week. Please reach out, email me so I can give you the directions on how to redeem your prize. If I don't hear from you within a week, I will pull another name from my initial 100 subscribers and try to get a winner out there. So please, Manny Reyes, email me as soon as you see this. So look, let's get into it. First, I want to kind of touch on some of the stats of the game. You know, one of the biggest things was we had 15 first downs, 15 first downs, and almost the majority of them came in the second half. And that's kind of the sign of what happened during the game. You know, offense took some time getting the ball going, which was expected. That's a hell of a Jets defense, you know. So, but we turned it on the second half. You know, scored 6 in the first, scored 10 in the second half with an amazing touchdown grab by Michael Mayer, our tight end. But I'll kind of dive more into that later in the video. But some of the stats that pop out is, you know, our first downs. The majority of them came in the second half, so 15 total first downs, which was huge. Josh Jacobs ended with 117 yards rushing. I mean, so topped the 100-yard mark, which was huge. I mean, being able to control the clock and you know, keep our offense or keep our defense off the field, get a rest so they can shut down that Jets offense. Now, again, the Jets offense wasn't very good. It's not very good, and it showed. But allowing our defense to get a rest and to get on that field fresh was huge, and that's what I'll kind of lead to is the time of possession. In the first half, the Jets won the time of possession battle. You know, they did a good job of driving down and finishing those scores off with field goals. Again, our defense, it was kind of a bend but don't break defense in the first half. So the Jets stayed on that field. They controlled that time of possession. And so, you know, that's one of the things that I want to see us switch up in that second half is really try to take advantage of the time possession battle and keep our defense off that field so they can get a little bit of rest. And that's what we did in the second half. And what really killed the Jets was the penalties. So I'll dive a little bit more details, but Jets had 8 penalties for 83 yards. We only had 3 for 25. So the Jets, the penalties killed them in some crucial times. So that kind of goes over the stats, some of the stats that popped out to me. And then let's go ahead and jump into some of the highlights of the game, some of the things that I want to talk about after kind of watching the game initially, then reviewing it. And, you know, first things first is obviously Bo Hardegree. He tried to get Davante Adams involved quick, right? Our first 4 passes, I believe, went to Davante Adams. We did open up with the 3 and out. Davante Adams tried to kind of drag across the field on third, and I think it was around 3rd and 6. Sauce Gardner did a good job of trailing him underneath and made a tackle short of the first down. So, you know, we tried to feed Davante Adams, and then what do? We tried to feed Josh Jacobs. We tried to get the ball into our playmakers' hands, you know, which was good. So that was a great way of starting out. The other thing I want to touch on is our D-line. Our D-line controlled the line of scrimmage the entire game. It was impressive to see. It was one of those things where you knew we had to stop Breece Hall and that running game, and our D-line just dominated. the line of scrimmage. When you look at what Brees Hall and remember they have Delvin Cook back there, hasn't produced as much this year, but I mean he's been a top 10 running back in this league for many years. And both of them combined only 54 rushing yards the entire game. I mean, the D line controlled the line of scrimmage. Obviously with the help of Robert Spillane, which is just a stud, and I'll get to him later, but controlled the line of scrimmage. And on my game analysis that I dropped, the video I dropped a few days before the game, that was one of my keys to victory, is we had to stop Brees Hall. Zach Wilson isn't going to kill you with your arm, but you had to stop Brees Hall because you knew they're going to rely on him in the run game, and we did, which was great. Another one of my keys to victory that I point out was you had to make Zach Wilson uncomfortable, and we did. We made him move. I said that it was going to turn into some errant throws, some mistakes on his part, and that's what happened. There was multiple times where receivers were wide open, or you had a receiver that had to step on one of our defenders, and he just missed them. There was one to the flats to Delvin Cook, just overshot him. I believe it was Alan Lazard that had a step on, I think it was Jacorian Bennett, and Zach Wilson just overshot him. So we made Zach Wilson move. Now, Zach Wilson did rip off about 54 yards, but a lot of it was on, 3rd and 16, 3rd and 18 type of situation. So let's let him run for 9 yards, and they still punt the ball or it's a field goal attempt. And that's what we did. We forced him to move. He got happy feet. He tried to throw out of position and turned into incomplete passes in crucial times. One stat that it's hard to notice in the very beginning, but and there's a stat that's basically yards after catch or yards after contact, and I think our Raiders defense did a hell of a job at minimizing the yards after catch. Brees Hall had one screen pass that went for that went for, I think it was roughly around 30 yards or so, which is a great play. But Garrett Wilson did have a lot of catches. I believe he ended with 9 catches, but the only one time did he catch the ball and took off and tacked on an extra 15 yards, 15 plus. Outside of that, every single time that the receivers caught the ball, they were tackled pretty instantly. So we were swarming to the football. The defense was flying, and that's huge. A lot of times you see a screen or you see a receiver catch a ball and they rip off 15, 20 yards after. That's a real killer for a defense. I mean, when you want momentum to swing, offenses, one of the best things they can do is catch a quick little screen, a little slip screen, a little dump off, and bang, they rip something off for 15, 20 yards. That could be pretty deflating for a defense, and we minimized that pretty much the entire game, which I think was huge, and which was why in the second half the Jets had a really difficult time kind of moving that ball up and down the field. And then I talked about it a little bit before, but the Jets penalties. The Jets penalties was 8 for 83 yards. It negated 4 first downs for them, which is huge. And then the lone touchdown that Brees Hall had that was called back was on a holding. It was after the interception by Aiden O'Connell. They drive down inside the 5-yard line. I think it was actually from the 2 that Brees Hall got the handoff, scored a touchdown, and it got called back. That would have turned it into a 13-3 game if they kicked the extra point. That's a big lead. That's a big lead against a rookie quarterback. So that penalty hurt them. So instead of 7, they kicked the field goal and only got 6. So that penalty was huge. And then the big momentum swing, right? Aiden O'Connell does get he throws an interception at the end of the first, and for the defense to stop him again. Look, Zach Wilson dives for the touchdown. His foot was out of bounds. Brees Hall runs in for the touchdown. It gets called back. Teams make mistakes, but the thing is the defense held strong. The defense did what they were supposed to do and didn't allow an interception and then a touchdown and for that momentum just to swing the Jets' way. And so kept it to just a field goal so they didn't start to stretch that lead. And I think that was huge. It didn't allow the Jets to gain a lot of momentum off that interception by Aiden O'Connell. And then one of the things I want to touch on is the adjustments. Obviously, there was clear adjustments in the second half, which we are not accustomed to seeing. The one thing that Josh McDaniels was horrible at was adjustments in the second half. And that was the change in this game. The Jets go into halftime with 9 points. Obviously, no touchdowns, but a lot of field goals, which means they were moving the ball. And they only score 3 points in the second half. They only score 3 points in the second half. And out of their 15 first downs, I believe they only got 5 in the second half. That's huge. Great adjustments by Patrick Graham, our defensive coordinator. And then Bo Hardegree. Good job on Bo Hardegree, outscoring our first half performance. We scored six points. We ended the first half with a field goal. So we're really, through that entire first half, we scored 3 points, 1 field goal. We were struggling to, move the ball, kind of gain some momentum. And in the second half, we come out and we score 10 points and we take the lead and we finish that ball game. So great adjustments in the second half by Bo Hardegree and Patrick Graham, both of our coordinators. And then you can't go without saying the call on first down, or I'm sorry, on 4th and 1. 4th and 1 with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The score was 16-12, right? But we're on our own 45-yard line. This is Antonio Pierce showing that he has trust in our defense. You go for it on 4th and 1 on our own 45 with 8 minutes left. You could punt that ball, pin them deep, knowing that the Jets haven't scored a touchdown in 30-plus drives. 30-plus drives, the Jets haven't scored a touchdown. So you could have punted it, and you could have pinned them deep. This was a statement by Antonio Pierce that he has trust in the offense. He has trust in Bo Hardegree, the offensive coordinator, to call that right play. And then what a hell of a play call. You could have done the tush push or, whatever they call it nowadays. But no, you kind of fake it. You run that end around with DeAndre Carter. Jermaine Illuminor does a great job hooking the DN and stealing the edge. Josh Jacobs leads the way and just gets enough of a chip on that outside defender where DeAndre Carter was able to take it upfield. Great play call, great execution. And those are the type of plays that could be a momentum shifter and a momentum swing for the rest of the season. That's what's great. That's what's great about that play. So those were kind of outside of some of the highlights. The last one I want to touch on, and again, I'll talk about it on some of the a little bit later, is the catch by Michael Mayer. He jumps up, he basically mossed the corner that was on him. I mean, that's a man's catch. You took all that is basically saying that is my ball. And so such a huge grab by Michael Mayer. So, and I'll touch a little bit more on that when I talk about Aiden O'Connell. But let's look up, stock up and stock down. So, whose stock is up after our Jets matchup, our Jets win on Sunday night? So, first and foremost, I think it's Aiden O'Connell. He did make a couple mistakes, right? The pick that he threw, not a great one, but I do think part of that was that we were really force feeding Davante Adams. And the Jets picked up on that, and they were jumping everything. And so that's a little bit on Bo Hardegree, but we were force feeding Davante Adams, and I think that's why the Jets were able to just jump it all day long, and we made that mistake. But the good thing is we recovered off of it. One of the things I love seeing at Aiden O'Connell is he stayed in the pocket. He stood there. He took a beating. Yeah. Did he take a couple sacks that he shouldn't have? Yes. But look, Aiden O'Connell isn't known for his mobility. He's not. So he's going to take a couple sacks, and he's a rookie going against a damn good Jets defense. Give him a little bit of leeway, all right? I understand that we didn't like some of the sacks. There's a couple times where the sacks actually took us out of field goal range, It's brutal. I get it. But he's a rookie. He's going to learn. He's going against one of the best defenses in the league. But he stood in the pocket. There was a couple throws that he made. There was one where he basically went through his second and third progression, looking left, then went backside, and it was basically like a dig route at about 15 yards by Devontae Adams, and Aiden O'Connell just threw a strike to him right into a small, tight window. And he took a beating off that throw. He took a hit off that throw. And for Aiden O'Connell to show in that moment that he's able to kind of stand there and take that hit, but throw a solid pass in the middle of a defense in a tight window, that was huge. Um, and then I just talked on it, but the pass to Michael Mayer not only was a great catch, but Aiden O'Connell trusted his ability to put the ball where it needed to be, where only Michael Mayer was able to get that ball. And that's where it was. On top of the corner. The corner reached up to try to tip it away. He knew Michael Mayer had the size difference. Michael Mayer had to jump up, hands high, stretch, and make the catch. And that was amazing. That was an amazing throw because that shows Aiden O'Connell trusts not only his tight end, but trusts his ability to put the ball where it needs to be in order for Michael Mayer to be the only one to make that catch. So stock up on Aiden O'Connell. Look, stock up on Josh Jacobs. He's showing that he could be the workhorse. I understand he had almost 30 touches, 29 or 28 carries, I believe, for 100 plus. He did have the 2 fumbles, which was brutal, right? One was a fumble. Luckily, it went out of bounds, and then he lost the fumble late in the game. He's obviously got to clean that up. But Josh Jacobs is proving that once again, just like he did last year, he could be the workhorse. So stock up for Josh Jacobs. Stock up for Greg Van Roten. He's the majority of Josh Jacobs' carries. The success was on the right behind Greg Van Roten. So he's our right guard, and the majority of Josh Jacobs' success was coming inside the tackles on that right side. So great job by Greg Van Roten. Stock up on him. Stock up on Bo Hardegree. Again, I touched on it a little bit, but he started the game with tempo throws for Aiden O'Connell. A simple throw to Devontae Adams. Then we put Devontae Adams in motion and hit him on a quick little bubble screen to kind of get him going. And then even when Aiden O'Connell threw that pick, Bo Hardegree dialed up. He went to the run play or the run game, right? Just wanted to kind of get Aiden, just get those jitters out, right? Get that out of your system. Yes, you threw a pick, wasn't great, but he wanted to get the momentum back with the run game, which he did. Did take a deep shot, but then right after that, started to get some tempo throws, right? A little screen to Josh Jacobs, a simple little out route to Jakobi Meyers, got his rhythm back, which I think shows that Bo Hardegree understood the moment that he needed to get Aiden O'Connell confidence back up. And I think he did it beautifully. And he did a great job of getting the ball out quick for Aiden O'Connell. One of my keys to victory that I said that we needed to implement screenplays. We need not just simple running back screens, but we needed to throw screen routes to multiple different guys, and that's what he did. Hunter Renfrow got a quick little screen route, looked like a one-step hitch, and got some blockers in front of him. And Hunter Renfrow, I believe he got the first down on that play. A couple screens to Devontae Adams, a couple to Abdul, Amir Abdullah. So we were able to get other receivers involved by getting that screen game going, and that had the D-line guessing. Okay, the D-line didn't know, do I slow up because the offensive line is releasing me, right? Because a lot of times in screen routes and screen plays, the O-line will chip the D-line and then release them, and the D-line had to feel that. They had to know, okay, am I beating him, or is he giving me a free release because now it's a screenplay coming in behind me? So I think Bo Hardegree did a good job of keeping the O-line or the D-line, the Jets D-line off balance. So great job by Bo Hardegree. Obviously, Robert Spillane, stock up, stud, right? He's the defensive player of the week, game-winning interception. Gotta love what he's doing. Can't say more about him. James Tillery on the D line. Look, this game he got a 91.7 grade from PFF, Pro Football Focus. 91.7 grade. He had 5 pressures. He had a 25% win rate, which is one of the best on our D line. And then one of the things I want to give him a shout out to is, going from last year, and then you look at the Chargers game that we had early in the season where you had that late hit um, on I'm blanking on the Chargers quarterback's name. I don't know why, but the late hit on the quarterback, and those are just dumb penalties, right? He had a couple offsides dating to last year and a couple this year. We haven't seen any sense, and that's huge. That's huge for him as a player and him to gain the trust from his teammates and the coaching staff, because he's shown that he could be a stud player, and this is what we're seeing. He's minimized the dumb penalties, which is huge. So stock up on James Tillery, and then stock up on John Jacobs and Bilal Nichols. Both those guys did a hell of a job holding down the interior of that D line, and they controlled that line of scrimmage basically the entire game. So stock up on the D line. And let's do this. Let's get some stock down players. There's not very many, but one is definitely Marcus Peters. There was a play that Garrett Wilson, you're not going to stick just one play and all of a sudden stock down, but there's a combination of plays over the progression of the season that with Marcus Peters, Garrett Wilson caught a pass, and this was the longest yards after catch that Garrett Wilson had. He caught a pass right in front of Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters could have easily, all he had to do was get to Garrett Wilson, lower his hips, break down, square up, make a solid tackle. And what does he do? He comes full speed at Garrett Wilson and then just watches him run right past him. I don't get, there was no one else in Marcus Peters' zone. It wasn't like he was coming off of another receiver. It was just out of position. No, could have been a perfect just breakdown, square up, textbook tackle. Yes, Garrett Wilson catches the ball, but just make the tackle. And he didn't. We've seen these plays so often that it's hard to really have the trust in Marcus Peters right now when it comes to just making solid tackles, making plays when he needs to. Yes, he had the pick six a couple weeks ago, which was great. But outside of that, there's been struggles with him, and we need him because, look, he came in to be the shutdown corner. He came in to anchor the defensive backfield, and he's struggling to do it right now. So stock down on Marcus Peters. Stock down on Dylan Parham. He's our left guard. He's undersized. He was going against Quinton Williams the majority of the game, and he was just getting beat up, especially on the run side. He did okay on the pass, but when it came to the run, he was getting beat up. And look, Dylan Parham, it's no fault to him that he's a little undersized, but he's got to make up for it. He's got to make it up for in his technique, possibly his quickness. Get your hips and shoulders around. Use your hands a little bit better. Position your body against these bigger D linemen in a way that you give yourself the advantage, because you are undersized, you're smaller, so you can allow yourself to be a little bit quicker off that line of scrimmage. One of the benefits of being on the offense is that you know where that ball's going. You know where you need to position your body. The defense is guessing, so you have that advantage. Use the quickness to your advantage. Get your hips around, get your shoulders around, get your body positioned in place on the D lineman quicker than they can react. So Dylan Parham, look, I still have high promise for him, but he is struggling a little bit on the run side of things. So, guys, that kind of sums up my game review. I appreciate you guys sticking in. What I want to do is, like I've been doing in the past, is let's hit you with a little bit of Raiders trivia. All right, let's have a little fun. So today's question: what number did Jim Otto wear while playing with the Oakland Raiders? All right. One more time. What number did Jim Otto wear playing with the Oakland Raiders? So I'm going to hit you with that little bit of trivia. Put your guys' comments down below. Just a little bit of fun. we have here. So appreciate you guys. And again, appreciate you guys sticking with me. So in a couple days, I'll drop a video on my game review of our upcoming matchup Sunday, Week 11 against the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. It's gonna be a tough matchup. They are coming off of a bye week, so they got plenty of time to prepare, and so that's gonna be a fun one. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me again. Please like the video, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications. And guys, I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out.